Kunja Vihari. Jai Gopi Jannavalava Girivardhari. Yasudanandana Braja Janaranjana. Sudananana Braja Janaranjana. Yasudanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamunatira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Dayo Vishnupad Paramahansa Bhadiva Jagacharya Astotarastasi Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Yantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Sri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Budare Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pachani Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pastatta Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from 3rd Canto, chapter 22, entitled The Marriage of Kardama Muni and Devahuti, text number 14. Ahang Tvashrinavang Vidvan. Ahang Tvashrinavan Vidvan. Vivahartam Samudyatam. Vivahartam Samudyatam. Alastam Upakurvana. Atastam Upakurna. Pratam Patigrahaname. Patan Patigrahaname. Ahang Tvashrinavang Vidvan. Vivahartam Samudyatam. Atastang Upakurvana. Patang Patigrahaname. Atastam Upakurvana. Patam Pratigrahaname. Ahang Tvashrinavam Vidvan. Vivahartam Samudyatam. Atastam Upakurvana. Pratan Patigrahaname. Hang Tvashinavan Vidvan Vidahartam Samudyatam Atastam Upakurvana Ratan Pratigrahaname Aham Tvashinavan Vidvan Vivahartam Samudyatam Atastam Upakurvana Ratan Pratigrahaname. Ladies? Aham, I, Tva, you, Ashranavan, heard, Vidvan, wise man, Vivaha Artam, for the sake of marriage, Sabunyatam, prepared, Ataha, hence, Tvam, you, Upakurvana, not taken a vow of perpetual celibacy. Patan, offered. Pratigrahana, please accept. May, of me. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Swayambhuva Manu continued, O wise man, I heard that you were prepared to marry. Please accept her hand, which is being offered to you by me. Since you have not taken a vow of perpetual celibacy, please repeat. Swayambhuva Manu continued, O wise man, I heard that you were prepared to marry. Please accept her hand, which is being offered to you by me, since you have not taken a vow of perpetual celibacy. Okay. Well, let's see how wise Kardama Muni is here. Purport. The principle of brahmacharya is celibacy. There are two kinds of brahmacharis. One is called Naishtiki brahmachari, which means one who takes a vow of celibacy for his whole life, whereas the other, the Upakurvana brahmachari, is a brahmachari who takes the vow of celibacy up to a certain age. For example, he may take the vow to maintain celibate up to 25 years of age. Then, with the permission of his spiritual master, he enters married life. Brahmacharya is student life, the beginning of life in the spiritual orders. And the principle of brahmacharya is celibacy. Only a householder can indulge in sense gratification or a sex life, not a brahmachari. Swayambhuva Manu requested Kardama Muni to accept his daughter, since Kardama had not taken the vow of Naishtika brahmacharya. He was willing to marry, and the suitable daughter of a high royal family was presented. Om Ajnana Timidandasya Jana Jana Shalakaya Chakshu Minitam Dinya Tasmai Sigurave Nama Ukam Guru Deva Chalam Pankam Langai Tegir Mergi Padamande Siguram Dira Dharanam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Something that's not discussed too much in modern present society, brahmacharya or celibacy. I think some of our Sankirtan devotees at least may have some experience. Then when they go out and they talk to the conditioned souls, and they start asking you, oh, what kind of life do you live, etc. Oh, I follow certain principles, and including celibacy. What? How is that? How can you live a life of celibacy? How is that possible? Which only indicates that in the Kali Yuga, people are particularly overwhelmed by this sex idea, particularly in this age of Kali. And the idea of someone being celibate is a sort of a foreign concept. How can you not? And it's certainly challenging, because in this day and age, you look around, everything is centered around this idea. It's meant to perpetuate that idea that happiness is only when sex life is there. And it's advertised everywhere, in every step, you can say, of the material world. And it's not just here, but it's also in the higher planets. So if you want to continue with that idea, you can engage in certain austerities and tapasyas, and then you can be promoted to the heavenly planets, where you can live for 10,000 years, 100,000 years, and you can continue in that vein. But beware that an unrestricted life means eventually coming back into this lower region, into hellish regions, where one has to suffer and be accountable for those activities. So it's not that living a life of regulation means that you're automatically freed from responsibility. Even that. There has to be regulation, certainly, but it has to be according to, there has to be that element of Krishna consciousness. Because it's not enough just to be following certain rules and regulations. We hear in the histories of the Vedic literatures how great sages and yogis were engaged in austerities for thousands of years, underwater and in various places. And because the mind is not controlled, there's fall down. So this principle of brahmacharya is all about controlling the mind. And Srila Prabhupada explains in the Bhagavad Gita purport, in sixth chapter, Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada talks about how controlling the mind is paramount. When the mind is controlled, then the intelligence can give good advice, give good direction. And when that proper direction is there, that means detaching oneself from sense gratification. Right? And the Bhagavatam tells us, Kamasya Nindira Priti Labo Jivata Javata, that the idea or the goal of life, the goal of work, the goal of this human form of life is to live a healthy life and a life of self-preservation. You want to protect yourself. That's what the rules and regulations are for. They're there to help protect yourself from the influences of Kali Yuga. And nothing else should be the goal. one should not be distracted by the sense gratification, which is labhato jivata, jivata tattva jigyasa. One should look or try to inquire into what the absolute truth is, what the goal of this human form of life is. And one of the most important principles is celibacy, brahmacharya, which means, again, controlling the mind. And that will protect one, and that principle of self-preservation is there. The wonderful, the most celebrated example given in our Prabhupada many times brings up this personality of Bhishma Dev, who was a Naishtiki brahmachari, who throughout his life didn't marry, was not attracted in any way, and that has to be the principle of brahmacharya life. And that means keeping oneself in a safe condition, right? I think there's a very wonderful instruction given by Narada Muni to Yudhisthira, where he says, "Brahmachari Guru Kule," that it's not one should not only control the mind and senses, but one should develop this submissive mentality or surrendered mentality. One should develop a friendship with the Guru and live in the Gurukula only for the benefit of the Guru. Just like we're involved, we're engaged in Krishna consciousness, we're living in a temple for what? For the benefit of the spiritual master. The spiritual master is laying out a plan by which one can be engaged in devotional service, and so many others can be engaged in devotional service. So the purpose of living in his house is to be engaged in his service, is for the benefit of him. Now, that may seem a little too narrow-minded for some persons, but the fact is that unless one gets the mercy, unless you get the mercy of the Guru Parampara, the spiritual master, you can't fully understand what the process of Krishna or spiritual life is for, what the goal of it is. And it's for self-preservation. Nothing else, no other purposes are there in life. So the principle is to learn to control the mind, right? Tapasa brahmacharjina samena cha damena cha tyagina satya sauchabhyam yamena niyamena va. We're learning how to concentrate the mind. That has to be there. That is the first element in advancing properly. The mind has to be controlled. Otherwise, there's every chance of running amok into danger. And then the whole purpose of the Vedic literatures is to help train that mind. As Krishna, it's a very nice purport in the 17th chapter Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada talks about controlling the mind. and how the best training for that mind is gravity of thought. And what does that mean? That means that our thoughts are all about progressing in spiritual, in Krishna consciousness, and not being diverted to other indirections. Because again, the mind, it's just going here and there, accepting and rejecting everything. Oh, my senses are agitated for this. Okay, well, let's go there. The mind is directing without any input from the intelligence. So the Vedic literatures, and Prabhupada makes this point, the Vedic literatures are the best way to divert that unsteady mind. And because of the satisfying stories which are there in Vedic literature. The mind, again, is looking to go here and there, and it's looking for some kind of sensory reaction, some kind of back and forth. So it's running here and there constantly. So Prabhupada points out that the best way to harness it is to divert it toward the Vedic literatures. And the Vedic literatures are full of satisfying stories, just like we're reading this wonderful story of Kardama Muni and Devahuti, and of course all of the other cantos which have such wonderful, wonderful descriptions and spiritual experiences, stories of Krishna's activities and his relationship with his devotees, the experiences of devotees engaged in devotional service. These are very, very fascinating stories, and they're so satisfying. We don't need to read the LA Times. We don't need to go to Facebook. We don't need to go to this place or that place and try to some or other satisfy this hankering, this urge. But simply engage it in the stories, the accounts, the experiences, the explanations given there within Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. For that reason, Srila Prabhupada went through so much effort to produce his books. What for? To occupy us, to keep us focused so that we don't get distracted by so many other ideas, so many thoughts of sense gratification. And by focusing the mind like that, Srila Prabhupada explains then that one will be free from duplicity. Free from duplicity. And instead of thinking of one's own gratification, one will think of the benefit, for the benefit of others. And again, we see that example in say, Prahlad, whose only thought was the suffering of other conditioned souls. He wasn't concerned for his own situation. So this is gravity of thought. And that has to be there in helping to control the mind. Otherwise, there's every chance of becoming swept up by the influences of the material energy. And again, we're surrounded by it. So it's the safest position to be in, this principle of brahmacharya. Srila Prabhupada explains that he also sometimes uses this term of naishtiki grihasta. The same principles apply, whether you're in this ashram or that ashram, the same principles apply. It means controlling the mind and engaging it in Krishna service, in Krishna conscious activities, so that the intelligence which is coming from the Lord in the heart, because the purpose of yoga, we understand, is to realize the Lord in the heart, right? That's the purpose. And that means practicing yoga for the right purpose, and that is complete abstinence from sex. Complete. Not being distracted from these other thoughts or suggestions. There's a real nice discussion. One sage was giving some benedictions, and he states, Rajaputran Chiranjeev. He's speaking to one prince, and he tells the prince that, may you live a long life. Why would that be? Because the prince is engaged in materialistic activities. So better that you live a long life. Because as soon as this life is over, you're going to have some issues. Better that you live a long life. Rajaputran Chiranjeev. And then he says, Majiva Muni Putraka. He says that the brahmachari, you should die. Because you're engaged in Krishna conscious activities, your mind is controlled, you're abstaining, you're following the regulative principles, you're very careful in your association, so you should die. You're in a very advantageous situation. You're not having to think about pound, shilling, pence, and all these other ideas. These other influences. So better that you just die. Ma jiva muni putrika. And then he says, Jiva ma maro sadhur. That saintly person is like the Krishna conscious person. Saintly person, you can live or die. It doesn't matter. It's like we're engaged in Krishna's service. So whether we live or die, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change the situation. We're focused in what we need to do. We're focused on following the principles of Krishna consciousness, executing our devotional service. So if you live now or you die somewhere down the line, maybe you'll live a long time and do many years of service here on this, but it doesn't matter. For him, the saintly person, live or die. Majiva maro iti. But the butcher, don't live or don't die. Because your life has been so hellish, you shouldn't even be living. What to speak of dying? So the safest practice is to be engaged in a devotional life, where, again, one is happy, engaged in devotional service, and if we have to leave this world at some time, then we're happy to accept it, because our service will continue afterwards. Whether we're here or there, it doesn't matter. Whether I'm engaged in this service or that service, it doesn't matter. I can do that because we're living for the satisfaction of the spiritual master. For the benefit of the guru, we're prepared to do these things. It's not conditional. And the idea, again, there's a very nice instruction given, karmana manasavacha sarvabhavashu sarvavadashu sarvada, where Karabhajana Muni describes, I think it's Karabhajana Muni, that brahmacharya means, or Krishna conscious devotional life means to completely abstain from sex, by one's words, mind, and work, at all times, at all places, under all circumstances. So these are not shallow instructions, but they're meant for the good of the conditioned souls. And these examples that were, and these wonderful descriptions that we're reading here in the Bhagavatam, that a great sage such as Kardama Muni, you would think that, well, why should he be interested? But when the practitioner is engaged in regulated and authorized work, one is protected. That's the point. You're under the protection as long as you're following according to the authority, be it the spiritual master, or in this case, it's Swayambhuva Manu, who's coming and asking Kardama Muni, oh, you're interested, so please you accept this qualified person. So for devotees, again, we're prepared to engage in whatever service is required, and the thought is always that I'm doing this for the Supreme Lord, and it's not for my own gratification. This is that's the materialistic idea. It's not, has nothing to do with advancing in this human form. So we'll end there. Are there any questions or comments? Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.